One thing about those old ships, it was relatively quiet. If you lived below the decks, really all you heard was a hissing of the steam. What we used to like to do was walk out on the fantail, which was the back part of the ship. It was real quiet back there, and on a clear, calm night, the crew would gather back there to talk and smoke cigarettes and drink and whatever. Quiet. All you had to do was look up, and what you would see is the rest of the Milky Way galaxy. There'd be so many stars that it would actually take on a milky haze. To me, folks, that was the $1 trillion view. I'm the Saipan Sailor, and this is part 5 of Around the World in 70 Days. We got to Hawaii. Ivan went ashore during the day with one of the other crew members, the pantry man. The pantry man worked in the pantry where he washed all the dishes and the pots and pans and etc. Those guys didn't have to work. They had a break during the day, so they both went ashore. Well, they met a couple of women who shared an apartment, and they went with those women to their apartment. And when they got inside, the guy told Ivan, he says, "All right, I'm taking her, and you take her." And Ivan was like, "Huh? I don't think that's a good idea." The guy said, "What?" And so Ivan said, "Oh, I don't want to do this. I'm going back to the ship." He came back to the ship to look for me. Now, I was working. My hours were between 8 and 5, and then after dinner, if I worked overtime, I worked. But in port, I was going ashore. So I went ashore after dinner, and he was on watch already, so we didn't see each other. And of course, I went ashore that night and did my own thing, you know. So it wasn't until we left Hawaii the following morning when the pantry man told me the story. And we were both trying to keep a straight face, but we realized that Ivan, well, Ivan hadn't gone through the life experience that as a seaman he should have gone through by then. All right, I'll just say it. He was a virgin. There was nothing anyone could do for him, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Take him by the hand and... Oh, no. That's something he was going to have to go through on his own. All right, I'm done talking about him. Let's move on. Panama was our next stop, Panama City. And in those days, that was one of the greatest party places on the planet. And party we did. if I remember correctly, we got overnight in Panama City and then went through the canal the following morning. I have been there so many times on so many ships. I'm still having a hard time remembering this ship. But I want to explain Panama to you because it's an interesting country. I mean, this is Central America, so it's dense forest and it's real humid. Unlike Egypt, which is in the Middle East, and it's pretty much dry desert and sand. Panama also is much more interesting. It's a beautiful place. Now, we were going from west to east, from the Atlantic Ocean over, or I mean, from the Pacific Ocean, I'm sorry, over to the Atlantic Ocean. But when you pass through the canal runs from northwest to southeast. So the Pacific Ocean is actually on the eastern side of the canal, where the Atlantic Ocean is actually on the western side of the canal. That canal, by the way, it's an engineering marvel. It really is. I'm sure they had pumps at every station, at every set of locks, but they didn't need it. There's a lake in the middle. Pretty much what you're doing is you're going uphill, you cross the lake, and you go back down. It's not a hill, it's a mountain actually. And it rains there almost every day. So that lake stays full of water. And when a ship is coming up or going down, they just lower or raise the level of the locks to meet the next set of locks that it's going through. And they can open valves to drain the water out downhill. Well, we got through there the next day, and we started on our last leg of the journey through the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of Mexico, it can get pretty stormy. Those ships, those boom ships, this is not a heavy lift. A heavy lift boom ships has huge booms, center line on deck, and they get real top heavy. But this ship was top heavy anyway because we were empty, pretty much. So we got into a storm. This ship decided to roll. It rolled, pitched. What we would have to do, because our bunks ran fore and aft for the front and back instead of sideways, thwartships. So, you know, you're laying in your bunk and you're rocking back and forth like this. What we would do is take our life jackets, stuff it up underneath the mattress, and kind of wedge ourselves against the bulkhead. The bunks were up against the bulkhead. And then that would keep our bodies fairly still. But if you were getting seasick and you were walking down a passageway and you got a whiff of the garlic stench, you were in for a long night. Now, a couple of things happened in the Gulf on the way to Houston, which is where we were headed. And I will talk about that in part 6. We were glad to be headed home. I wanted to go home. I wanted to sail on the Great Lakes again, which is what I was doing before I caught that job. So, next stop is Houston, and I will see you there, mates. I'm the Saipan Sailor, and this is part 5 of Around the World in 70 Days. Clear skies and calm seas, everyone.